Good to see you
Hey,
all again.
Hi there.
And well done, those of you that posted homework in the group. Well done. I'm really impressed with what everybody's doing. Fantastic. Wherever you are on the journey, I encourage you all to be, taking action and pushing yourself that little bit further because you're learning so much, I hope. Anyway, how's it
I'm
going?
sure.
How are you feeling about it at the moment? Enjoying it?
It's all new and easy and challenging at the same time.
I
Isn't
Isn't that weird? Yes, I agree with you. New and easy
love
and
that.
challenging.
I love that description. Um, yeah. Why, when you're learning something new, it's always a bit of a challenge, isn't it? You're gonna have to think in a different way. You're gonna learn something, new tools. But actually, when you realize that, okay, this is not so difficult, then it all kind of hangs together. So that's excellent. Excellent. Well, I was very impressed with what people have been posting in the group. Um, encourage you just to keep going, just keep building. And that's what we're going to be doing today. So today, we're going to be building on what you've done already. So before we do that, let's have a little bit of a recap. How is everybody getting on? Thanks very much, Chris, for saying it's easy but challenging at the same time. Are there any particular issues? Yeah, where are you? How was that exercise, the homework that you did last night or yesterday? Any thoughts, comments, anything you want to flag up?
I can share. I think that it's actually harder than we think to get something like and I think in our heads, it's really simple. I'll do just this little thing, blah blah blah. But in the end, this little thing, blah blah blah, requires a lot more in the background than we think that it does. And
Yeah,
yeah, it's not
that's actually
easy. And
true.
so I
Remind
just
me
wonder
again.
as well if we can if humans will can truly be, booted out the door like we all think that it will, because you need someone in front of the computer to think and to organize and see the greater vision and sort of push the AI in the right direction, because in the end the AI,
Yes,
they don't actually think, they're just executing commands.
Exactly.
um
agreed.
yeah, so that's my 2 cents.
Yeah. That's a great insight. I completely agree with you. I think that, yes, AI is going to and is changing the world.
Mm,
Um, there used to be humans behind typing away, creating all of those lines, and then, if they made a little mistake, having to go through it and try and figure out where that mistake is, really, really difficult, and very, very time consuming. And that obviously has been shifted enormously with the advent of AI and vibe coding. But having said that, you're exactly right. You still need humans to be thinking, to
yeah.
be, the one that's creating and the one that's directing. Um, and so, yeah, there's a lot going under the hood with this. And on the surface, it does seem easy, but you do really need to be very, um, very particular, I'd
Yeah.
say. It's all
Mm,
well and good, yes, asking a very broad question, but that very broad question begs lots of gaps in the content of what you're actually asking. And as a consequence of that, AI is just going to make it up. And that
yeah.
may not be what you want. And then unraveling all of that is becomes harder. Um,
Mm,
so we're going to be focusing on just looking beyond the AI studio in Go High Level, starting to think about the using Lovable, which is an app builder, which I mentioned briefly in the Vibe Coding 101, and just how to interact with other platforms. So, for example, using webhooks. So I know some of you kind of come across already, but having the database in the background, um, and just really to understand a little bit of how that works. And then, so I'm going to introduce all of that to you. And then, your homework today and for the rest of the few days that we've got together is really to go away and actually just keep building, learning, and going through the process, because I think it's only through doing do you really start to yeah, understand the nuances of this. It's all well and good giving you check boxes to do, but actually you need to learn it for yourself and understand where the gaps are, and you can only do that by doing it, I would say. Um, okay. So are we okay with that? Yeah? Okay. Um, great. Right, let me share my screen. Can you see my screen?
Yep.
Yeah? Okay. Right, so today what we are going to do is just understand what is involved when you want to go bigger. And really, I encourage you not necessarily to take this jump right away, but I want you to understand a little bit about how it works, and what components you need to think about, and then kind of, if you're at that place where you feel you're ready to move into this space, then go ahead, give it a go. If you're still building your website, that's absolutely fine. Build your website, just take it in bite-sized chunks forward and feel comfortable with what you're doing, and then you'll get there. I just want to open up your eyes, and then tomorrow will be a lot of Q&A, but we'll also be going through that process of making sure that your request, as we said before, there's a lot of gaps if our communication is not as watertight as it could be, um, and how to close those gaps. And then, and so we'll deal with any questions, where you're coming from, and then on the final day on Monday, so you have the whole weekend to play around and really, really delve into this space. And on Monday we'll come back, reconvene, and see where the challenges are, what you've all built, kind of, and where do we go from here. Right. So as I said, quick recap. Well, we've built a website. Some of you built tools as well, which are fantastic, all within AI Studio in Go High Level. And what we're going to do is go just beyond Go High Level to kind of app builders that are built to be app builders, as opposed to Go High Level had this app builder built, or the vibe coding app built on top of its existing CRM platform. And then understand a little bit about the connections that you might need outside of in more complex tools. And then delve into what that might mean. I'm going to demonstrate it. And then homework is go away and start thinking, start creating for yourself. Okay? All right. So let's just stay here. And by all means, pop any questions or any thoughts in the chat so that we can deal with them as they come up, okay? Right, so stepping beyond Go High Level. Now this is, we said right from the beginning, AI Studio is has been built on top of Go High Level features and functions. And Go High Level is an amazing platform with um, a lot of legs, covers a lot of ground for small businesses in all the CRM stuff, in the on the marketing side. It has memberships embedded within it. It has a huge amount of things, and now the AI side of things as well. So it really, really is an amazing tool um, for what it is. Instead of having to buy lots and lots of different tools, one for your email marketing, one for your calendar management, one for websites, one for automating workflows, one for managing a membership or products on an e-com site, or any of those things and more. Then Go High Level does it all. So it's one integrated platform which works very well. And it's been around for a long time, so it's a proven system. Um, and the AI tool that they've built on top for AI Studio is actually very, very good. I mean, it can do a lot of things, but it can't do everything because it's not built from the ground up as an AI vibe coding type tool. So in terms of its database, It can connect with your contacts and your CRM content. You can add some custom fields, and I'll show you that in a moment. But it doesn't hold really a proper database that you would want to perhaps utilize within a tool. For logins, for real product information, for depending on what your tool does. So I would then suggest that you are looking at a tool that goes beyond its kind of native capabilities, because you might be stretching it a little bit. Also, if you need to interconnect with other platforms, now Go High Level actually is pretty good at interconnecting with other platforms, but depending on what you're trying to do, you might want to create webhooks and use APIs for other software tools, and we're gonna touch on that. So I'm just really going to introduce you to this kind of the next steps beyond what AI Studio can do for you. Now, I mentioned the app builders. So there are app builders that have been built purely as app builders on top of AI large language models. And the one we're going to be looking at today is Lovable. Well, Lovable's been around for quite a while actually now. It's well known and as a vibe coding tool. And for people who are starting out, you use it in a very similar way to how you used AI Studio. So you just, converse with it, but it has got its own kind of cloud database in the background. And it is you can build tools that are beyond the capabilities at the moment of the AI Studio within Go High Level. So that's what we're going to be using. But there are a lot of other similar tools. Lovable is just one of them that's well known, well loved, and that's what we're going to be looking at today. Connections. Now, I mentioned about database. If you need to store some persistent data that needs to be used within your tool or in some way, shape, or form, then that probably needs to be in have a database behind the tool. Now, as I say, Lovable has a database built in, which is kind of I believe a version or a wrapping around Superbase, if you've heard of that. But it means you don't have to necessarily integrate that database fully, which you would have to do potentially with other more advanced app builders, vibe coding tools. And we don't have to use it. Have to create a separate database unless you want to have really more control. So we're taking things step by step by step. So we're going to go into Lovable, which has a little bit more flexibility than AI Studio, has a database in the background. So you can see that in action. Webhooks and APIs. So webhooks are actually, we're going to the next one. Right. Right. So Lovable and AI Studio. So AI Studio is simple, self-contained for, simple tools as we've looked at so far, calculators, quizzes, report generator, that kind of thing. It can integrate to the Go High Level contact fields and the CRM contact fields. If you're running that into some kind of workflow or funnel, that's all integrated, and it's because of that, it makes it very, very easy. But sometimes you want real structured persistent data in the back end. You need a database of information, and that needs to get pulled on from the actual tool. So therefore you need a database. Sometimes you need to interact with other tools. You want to pass information from one tool to another tool so that the workflow can continue beyond just what that tool is able to do. And that's where you might be using webhooks or APIs. Yeah, it gives you more control of the logic, and yeah, it just takes you to that next level. So we're going to see some of that in action. A webhook. So a webhook is almost like a postal service to between tools, between software tools, and you have a URL And that URL is kind of your channel of communication. And then you give it instruction as to what information you want passed over that channel. Okay, which direction, which tool is going to receive it, which tool is going to send it, and it's kind of like a secure postal service for data. And Go High Level is actually really good for this because you can integrate a whole load of information from Go High Level out and also in. Maya, do you want to add anything more about these components, these connections?
Sorry, my computer's gone haywire. I'm suddenly hearing the YouTube video.
Okay. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, but I can also hear YouTube video, and I don't know where it's coming from.
Oh,
Just
I
going
see.
crazy here.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Can any of you hear the video?
No. Gremlins. Oh, I'll press on then. If you want to add anything, Maya, do please, if you can hear me without your video going on in the background. Okay, so when we're talking about APIs and webhooks, so API is a secret, is a key, okay, that will open the door to another tool, which might require payment for usage of that tool, okay? And a webhook equally is that channel, that postal channel of communication, opening a door to another tool. And that you need to be aware of the fact that you want that channel of communication to be secure. So anything that you do, the keys that you're given, the webhook URL that you're given when you're setting up anything and the that you're using, you don't want to be visible to the public. You don't want it to be in the front end of your website. You want it to be hidden and kept secret. Otherwise, somebody could just go and look at the code on your website or your tool, and then they've got your API, which might be a gateway into your account with, for example, Claude or OpenAI or Gemini or any of the tools, and that would then one come off of your usage and you'd be paying for it. Two, they would have access to, what you're doing, um, and making potentially some changes. So you don't want that. Secondly, webhooks, as I said, webhooks are a channel. It's an open channel, but it's you need to keep that webhook, that URL for the webhook secret. And so therefore you need to make sure that the tool you're using has a layer behind it that enables you to keep that secret. It's like locked in a vault, and it will only it won't be publicly available. Okay, this is really important to one, make sure maintain the integrity of your tool, and two, to maintain your usage and your billing, and be in control of that. So whenever you're using those, it's really important to make sure that the tool considers the keys that you use, the API keys, the webhook URLs, consider them to be secret. Okay, secret keys, so they go into a secret store and they are not available publicly.
And that implies that when you're building your code, you tell the app to put that in a separate space.
Yes.
So that your program only sees a variable like, Maya's API key. It doesn't know what the key actually is.
Yeah, exactly. So it's kept in a special store that's locked and away from public viewing potentially. Okay. Um, so we're gonna be looking at something a bit more ambitious. I want you to be starting to look at something a bit more ambitious, if you feel that you're ready to take that next step, and then thinking about, okay, what is it that I want? And I'm gonna show you a little tool that I've got. that I've built for you that you can use as well. Right, I am going to show you, just give you a little demo, an example of what I have done, an example of these things, but I'm going to have to stop sharing because it's not allowing me to jump into another. Oh, hang on, if I go here, then maybe I can. Oh, hang on. Okay. Right. Okay. All right. Okay. You can see my screen? See my screen?
Oh, I forgot I went on mute again. Yes, I can.
Okay, great. Okay. Right. So what I've done is I have this is just really so to save time. I have created I've got a little prompt here to create a website cost quote generator for building a website. You know, how many pages do I need? Do I want a blog? Do I want an e-commerce site? Give email address and phone number, and away it goes. Okay, it gives me some calculation in the background. So it's a very, very basic. I mean, obviously, if we were to do this for real, it would be a lot more complex. And it wouldn't be as straightforward as what I've put in here, but here you can see I've asked it to build a web page, website cost generator, 6 questions, basic information, and based on the answers, calculated the estimated costs, and it's got the rationale here. Show the result clearly on the screen, and you'll see that I've got a result here, and I'll show you in a minute if my credits allow. Um, and then what this does is it basically stores this quote in a database in the back end. Okay, and so it's building a database of quotes. The other thing I've asked it to do is I've asked it to when someone submits this, I have asked it to go in and create a webhook so that it then updates my contact information in Go High Level all instantly. So that basically when someone looks at my website and they've requested a quote, they filled out their information, and they've also asked for the quote, and a quote will be automatically calculated for them. I've then created a custom field in Go High Level, and I'll show you all this in a minute, which takes that quote estimate from the database that is being built in the back end of Lovable. Okay. And put that into the customer record in Go High Level, as well as tag that customer with kind of a specific tag. So I know that they're not just, they're not an existing customer, they're somebody that requests a quote. And that is done through this, giving them this webhook. And as I said, the webhook is a URL, and that URL is generated in this case by Go High Level, and I'll show you that. Okay. And then I've asked it, so it requires a payload. In other words, what information does it want to send? And I'm saying I want it to send name, email address, phone, and estimate the calculated figure. Nothing else. Store this URL as secret, okay, rather than putting it directly in the visible code. So that's what we talked about before. It's really important to make sure that the webhook and any API keys are secret and they're hidden. And so the instruction to your AI, your vibe coding prompt needs to say that. Remember, you need to be specific and tell it what to do, every little bit really, so that you can get the result that you want. Okay, so I'm saying here, no login, no user accounts, anyone can use the calculator. Explain what you're doing in each step. No. Anyway, so it's bit, it's done that, and it said here, secret saved your webhook. So they've removed it from public viewing, never appears in the code, which is exactly what I want. Okay. Um, I was trying to play around with this here, but let me show you now. So in Lovable, basically, it's exactly the same. So if I go back to the dashboard, this is the Lovable dashboard that you'll come to, and there are free credits that you could use initially to build a small app or a couple of apps. But then of course you do need to pay for it, but you can start playing around with it. And these apps are hosted on Lovable's kind of domain. Therefore, you have the ability to you don't need to host it. You just get a URL, just as you did with the AI Studio and Go High Level, exactly the same. And you can use that, publish it, bang, it's on the web. Okay. And you can see here, you've got just ask Lovable to do, what do you want it to do? And then you give it its prompt, and then it goes away and does what it can for you. Okay. Um, you have a bit more flexibility here. So you can attach different um more than you could in a AI Studio. There, I think it just allowed you to put photos and URL links. But here you can attach documents, give it designs, again,
Connected to
database.
things.
Sorry?
Connected to things like that database there. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So it has more flexibility, more features. So, it does take those tools to the next level when you need to be connecting to other tools more, or you need to have a database or an API. Okay. So it's very, very similar. Um, if I go to, I'm going to this tool because this is the one I've published. Which is like the first version. I didn't actually ask for the name. But in here you can see um, exactly the same thing. There's a database here of information. Sorry, I just need to move this around somewhere. I can see what I'm doing. So it's got recent estimates. That's just the way this particular tool works. But if I go into more here. Can you see on the top, the little three dots here? If I click on more, then I can go into the database, and there's an estimates database, which is in this case just got 3 records, and I can export that information. You can't see that now at the moment, but there's 3 records in here. They're kind of hidden. I don't know how I can open this up.
Clicking on them doesn't help, does it?
Oh, what am I doing? Sorry, say that again?
Just clicking on the 3 records found doesn't do it.
Yeah, there you go.
Ah, there it is.
See, you can see them there. They've got the records in here, the detail, oops. Okay.
The joys of a Mac. What happens with a Mac is if you drag your screen a little bit to the right too much, it goes to the previous page. Very frustrating.
Yeah. Anyway, so there you have it. It's got my details, it's got the estimate and when it was created. Okay, so that's available in the back end, and you can download that as a CSV. So every time I go in and create, or someone went in to create an estimate, gave me their details, it would appear in the back end here. But what I've done is I have integrated it so that it also jumps into Go High Level. Okay, so what I've created here was firstly, a couple of things. Firstly, what I did was I created in settings a tag. So I added an estimate demo tag. Okay, so I wanted to tag everybody that is in that filled out the form and therefore added as a contact in this case as with estimate demo, because that meant that then I can go in and search for anyone that's had asked for an estimate and then reach out to them because I've got their telephone number, I've got their email address. What I also did was I added a custom field, and I added a custom field of estimate. Okay, so I created a custom field so that I could then import the estimate information that sits in the database in Lovable.
So
Okay,
could you tell me, Karen, just elaborate on what a custom field is again?
a custom field is well, so it's got some standard fields that it holds within its CRM platform against different elements of its records. So, for example, everybody needs to have an address, postcode, country, address, website, emails, phone. These are fairly standard fields that exists already. But you can add new fields and you can create new fields here. You can create a new field. So I just wanted a single line of text. I wanted it attached to my contact information. The field name in this case was estimate, but I could put estimate to, um, I want to go in contacts and I can give it a description, blah, blah. But place on, I'm not going to do any of that and just create. And then what happens is it gives me an extra custom field um, in my contact records, which I could then fill in with different information. And what I've done is I wanted to have the value of that estimate that existed in Lovable in against that customer record or that prospects record. Yeah. So I could then go back into it and say, okay, this customer's requested an estimate. This is the estimate. I mean, obviously, in real life, you probably want more information. You would probably ask for more information, not just the actual number. But I just wanted to show you how it can add some custom fields to the contact record, and then you could then potentially feed into that custom field from your tool. Does that make sense?
Yep. And if you're trying to imagine why you would want a custom field, think about things like you've got a business, you've got customers coming in. You want to maybe note things like what's their birthday if you're going to give a special offer on their birthday.
Yeah,
That's a great idea for a custom field.
yeah,
Or, if you know their preferences, like this person, it, something that a lot of salespeople do is they will note everything they know about a customer, right? So they'll say, who's in the family? Do they have a wife? Do they have kids? Or a husband, of course. Um, what are their hobbies? All of those can go in little custom fields or in one giant custom field called notes.
yeah, exactly. And that's where when you saw the custom field, there was different types of fields you can create. I just created a single line, but you
Right.
could create multiple lines, for example. And so I created a workflow. So this is sitting underneath automations here in Go High Level. And this workflow is basically an automatic process that happens. And it happens every time a trigger takes place. That trigger could be lots of different things. We touched on it before and we sent an email, I think. Um, but you can create that trigger if someone fills out the form, as we said before, or someone pays for something, or someone joins a membership site, or if in fact, if I look at add trigger here, there's a multitude of triggers that you can create.
Mhm.
You can get inbound emails, someone filled out the survey, they submitted a form on Facebook Leaders, for example, all sorts of different things. They booked an appointment, an opportunity, shift in on opportunity stage, for example, in CRM, affiliates, all sorts of different, there's loads of different things that can be triggers. Okay. Um, but in this case, what I've done is created a webhook because basically I want I want Go High Level to be triggered when a webhook is created. And in order to do that, I need to create a webhook. Now in Go High Level, this is a premium feature. So every time a webhook is triggered, it's like 1 cent, something like that. But you do have to pay for it that little bit more. Um, but you choose what you want. So in this case, I wanted an inbound webhook. I could have given it a different name, but I didn't bother. It automatically gives me a URL here. And this is the URL that this is a URL that you want to use in your code. So for example, go backing into Lovable. If you look here, I'm going to delete this afterwards. So you can see this URL here is the same URL back here. Okay. And when you create it, when you say, okay, I want an inbound. So let me try show you another one. So let's say, oops, I want another if I just do a search, I want trigger um oh, it's already got an inbound redpoint, so it's not wanting me to do that again. Okay, basically that's where I went. I added a trigger and then this inbound webhook opens up. And if I go to this one, you can see it gives me a URL and then it asks for a mapping reference. Now, when you create a mapping reference, it wants to know basically what fields do you want populated within Go High Level? Because you're calling for certain information, but what are you calling for? And so that is where the mapping reference sits. And if that reference needs to be validated and checked. Okay. Um, so what you do is you go in here. This is an easy way of just kind of validating it for you then to have a working webhook. So if you go into Hopscotch.io and it's free to do this, create create here a new reference. I don't know what you call it actually. Hopscotch basically takes the reference fields, runs it through the webhook to validate that information is coming in, and then it works in Go High Level. So from a technical perspective, I can't explain. I don't know, Maya, if you've got any
It's basically
explanation here.
it's just validating the JSON. Make
Yeah,
sure that the format is correct, make sure it's got quotes and colons and commas wherever it needs them. That's literally all it's doing. If
okay.
it's badly formed, it'll let you know, and then you go back and fix whatever it was. It might sometimes be missing a quote, a comma, and a closing
Yeah.
brace.
Yeah. So you would want you go into AI to ask for this JSON file, I would say, or this content, and you go into body here, and then you create application, in this case, application JSON. And I copied and pasted what the AI gave me. These are the fields that I want to put in. This is test data and it needs to be validated. And then I sent this. And when I send this, it automatically goes to that URL that was created by Go High Level. And it, said it was successful here at the bottom. So then I know that that works. And then what you do is you map the reference to that there's a number of them here, but in your case you'll have one. You map that reference and then it just says, okay, I know exactly what information I'm getting from and how I'm going to get it now. And that is your webhook, okay? And then I went in and I said, okay, so now I've that gateway is open. So I with that
Hang,
information, I want.
hang on, Karen. Marie's just going, oh boy, I'm confused. What is step one when going bigger?
Okay, okay. So thanks for saying that because I'm sure you're not the only one that's confused.
Yeah.
So what we're doing here is basically we are saying I have built this app which has a database behind it. This app is a website cost calculator in my in this instance. I'm going to go back to preview. And here I've asked for certain information. It's calculating everything, but I've also asked it to give me my email address and a phone number. Okay. And I've asked it to calculate the estimate, and then give me the estimate. And I want to store that information. So it gets stored in a database in the back end of this particular app. And that Lovable, as I said before, Lovable has its own kind of database, which is it depends on how extensive and complex your app is, but for what we're building now, that will be more than sufficient. And it stores basically the information in a database. So it doesn't just store the email and the phone number, it also stores, I've asked it to store the actual estimate against that email and phone number. Okay, so that is where if we go here, we go into the database, that information resides in this database file here. Yeah. Now, in order for me to then say, okay, well, now in this app, in the database for this app, I have got a name, I've got a contact details, and I've got an estimate quote. But I want to now send out an email to that person or chase up with that person because they've requested a quote. So I want to then send this information back to Go High Level, and I do that using a webhook. It's like a postal service, a secure postal service of information from one tool to another tool. And I've asked it, therefore, to create and to be triggering a workflow using a webhook. Okay, so because this tool here on Lovable has embedded in it the webhook, it's got instructions to say when someone submits, then send a webhook to this URL. So it's automatically sending some information to Go High Level using this URL. And now I need to say, well, Go High Level, when you're getting this information through the webhook, what do you want to do with it? What information is coming and what do we then want to do with it? And that's where this comes in. So it's
So let me
basically,
relate that to yesterday's homework where you did a form, or was that the day before? Where you created a form, and anytime you input something, it instantly went into Go High Level. You saw it in the contacts, you saw all the information. That's literally the same thing we're doing today, except we're getting it from outside High Level. So instead of filling a form in Go High Level, we're now filling a form in Lovable, giving it all that same information and sending it through to High Level to save.
yeah, so we're taking from a database and we're sending it elsewhere. Now there's lots of different, I'll show you in a minute, another webhook which maybe might make it a little bit clearer for you. So basically the information gets sent through this gateway, through this webhook, and now I'm telling Go High Level what to do with it to automate it. So I've said, okay, I want you to create a contact. I want you to take the email using the email that's been sent to you through the webhook. I want you to take the estimate and fill out the estimate field based on the information that's in the webhook, because that's the information that's been sent over. Yeah. So as a consequence, it'll be triggered when the webhook sends information and it will know what to do with that information. It's going to create a contact, and here it's I'm going to come back to this one. It's going to create a tag. So I've said add the tag. If you remember, I added a tag in settings right at the beginning. I created a new tab called Estimate Demo, and that will be attached to the contact person, the record that we're creating here. And then in this case, I've said, okay, can you just also send an email? Because I've got the email, they filled it out in the form, so I've got the email address. Can you also automatically send me an email, send an email out saying thank you? I mean, I could have added a whole load of blurb here. Someone will be in touch with you if you need anything else, but I just cut it short because for the sake of the demo. Was that Marie? How does that make it a little bit clearer?
Marie's asking where you got the webhook address from. So I
Okay.
said when you created the automation, you were able to set that up.
Yeah. When I created the trigger in the automation, and I asked the trigger to be creating an inbound webhook. Okay, so here it says, choose a workflow trigger. I wanted it to be triggered by an inbound webhook. And then it automatically gives me this URL. And it's that URL you want to put in to your platform. So basically you create this it's kind of chicken and egg. But you've got to create this URL first and then use that in your tool, in the prompting, in the coding. It'll automatically code it in the back end. And then as a consequence of that, um, you've got this webhook and you've got the tool having the webhook. Both sides have the same address, and so they can connect and make that connection. Now, just to maybe make this a little clearer, maybe confuse you even more, I also said, okay, now that I've got I've got a webhook set up here, and I've got a database in the back end, but you know what? I don't want the database I don't have to go into Lovable's database every time when a quote gets sent to me or gets created. I want to create a spreadsheet, a Google sheet that just populates all the information in there so I can easily access it. So this is just really obviously for the purposes of this demo. So I created another webhook within this same automation, okay, using a tool called make.com. Now, make.com is a really interesting tool. Let me go back to make.com. Can I go into it basically creates webhooks between different platforms, lots of different platforms, to enable you to automate the communication between one platform or another, or AI agents. And it automatically has connectors for a whole host of platforms. So for example, I'll just go in here and I'll show you. I created this this webhook. So I created a webhook in Make, okay, and then that is the URL, custom webhook. That is the URL that I put in Go High Level in the second webhook that I created. Because now what I want to do is I want to utilize the information that's in Go High Level, and I'm going to send that back to Google Sheets. So I can create a database, in effect, just copying it into Google Sheets because it's easier for me to get into. And what I did was I then said, okay, I want to create a connection, and it asks, what do you want to connect to? And then it asks, where do you want to connect it? It asks all the information, the connector information, mapping the fields, so that I can then create this connection. But if I say add a module, there are so many tools you can connect to. So let's say you wanted to connect to your email, or you wanted it now to, okay, I've got the details. Go High Level automatically will send an email out for you through their automation process. But this is how to create it manually if you weren't using Go High Level. Or maybe you wanted it to pop a post on a Slack group, or you wanted it then to go into AI and generate something else through Gemini or Claude, or you wanted to link out to Outlook on Microsoft, or you wanted to create an RSL. You can see all of these tools have an automatic connector in Make. So if you had, you wanted to Go High Level has a lot of this stuff, so it automatically makes it easy for you. But But if you weren't using Go High Level, this is a tool that would help you map that communication flow between different platforms. I think I probably confused people now. Have I confused you all?
Nope.
No? Okay. Make is an amazing tool because there are others as well. Zapier, Integromat. There are a number of tools that do the same thing. Okay, they create webhooks.
N8N.
Sorry?
N8N.
Yes, of course, N8N. They create webhooks between different applications, enabling them to share information, and therefore the other application can then work with it. So here I'm sharing contact information that has been sent to Go High Level now to a Google Sheet. And that Google Sheet, then I could add a module to say, okay, now can you do something else with that information? And I could ask it to then link up to a completely different app and do something completely different. So you're communicating and sharing information across the field. So what you can see here, so I linked this Google Sheets to my account. I gave it, I created the sheet name, I created the fields, and now it knows exactly what to do. And here, so I've created, this is before I put the name in, sorry. I created this spreadsheet just as an example. So it's now got telephone number, it's now got the email address, and it's got the estimate. Basic in real life, you would obviously probably put more information in, specifically what they'd asked for, but that's just really a matter of adding more fields that gets shared. Right. I've covered an awful lot there. Questions? Any questions?
No questions. Kenneth is saying he prefers N8N because he's self-hosting in Docker for free. And of course, all of these are considered no-code solutions. Yeah, because you're just pointing and dragging or pointing, copy, paste.
Yes. 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 Yeah. And they all do the same kind of thing. And yeah, they in effect work the same way. But yeah, if you can point and click, obviously, so much easier. Okay. Right, so Ken, so you've done that, so you know all about this then, and I guess that means that can you use these tools for free? Yes. Depending on how much of the tool you're going to be using, how much you're using it. So they all have a free account, which give you a enough certainly to test and play with it. And in some cases for a number of quite an extensive number of usages. But at some point, depending on your usage, you may need to pay for it. But certainly to start learning it, start building with it, you can build for free. So Lovable has some free credits. They refresh, I think, on a daily basis. Make a certain number of integrations. So you have a certain number of credits, and again, if you go over that, but it's quite a high number. But if you go over that, then you will have to pay. Programming without code, exactly. Well, that's in effect what vibe coding is about, isn't it? It's about making it all happen. This is kind of just linking tools together so that you can have, create the tool that you really want to create, not being confined by the limitations of, for example, AI Studio and Go High Level. It depends what you want to create. It depends what, yeah, the complexity of that, what's involved in that. And that's why yesterday I wanted you to build something that doesn't require all of these other kind of connections, because you can see what's possible without the connections. And then, okay, now if you want to build in a database, if you want to build in a connection with another platform, or there's a process that you want to follow, Go High Level has that automated process. It has this automated process through the workflows, which is so easy to set up. It's not, you don't have to go to another platform like N8N or Make um, to do some of the basic stuff. But depending if you want to bring in other platforms and other tools, then that's when you start knitting them all together.
We do have access to High Level's workflow engine because with your
Yeah,
account, you get access there. It's like literally on the left.
yeah.
Automations is workflows.
Here you go. Click on automations here, workflows, and then you just click create workflow, and then you can start building it. And you can start building it using AI. I like to see exactly what I'm building, but you could just ask it to do stuff and it'll do it for you. But every time you use AI, then you're using, in theory, AI credits on your account. Um, Although if you've got a paid account on Go High Level, as I say, the summer of AI gives you a lot of flexibility to just play around with it and without any additional charges. Oh, looking at time, we're at 5 o'clock. Any questions? Any questions? Because what I would like you to do for your homework today is actually think, okay, we've had some constraints. I've said build a website. I've said build a simple tool that doesn't have a database, doesn't have any webhooks or anything like that. I know some of you have gone a bit beyond that, but now the intention is if you're ready and wanting to, and you've got a more complex idea, you've got an idea of what you want to do, um, start building it. Start building it, start creating your webhooks, start working with a database. Um, I would suggest going into Lovable and going from there. Yeah,
Kenneth is
start.
getting carried away. He wants to do a full stack app. Good job.
Fantastic. Well, Lovable has that database in the back end, yeah?
Yeah.
Which is basically a wrapper on Superbase. So you can go straight into there and it will build it for you instead of you having to make all the connections. Um, so that's the beauty of starting using these app builders.
I
Fantastic.
guess we could technically get around that if we only have like a front end, not to get too technical. I don't want to scare anyone. Um, so let's say if we can only have like front end stuff on our Go GLH GHL um account now. So we could create a Superbase account and then sort of send a webhook to um Go High Level's workflow, fetch data from the Superbase account and then get it back and then put it back into our website at a press of a button. But yeah, we could do that.
Yeah,
Oh yeah,
You
this would be
could.
fun.
yeah, you could do
Absolutely.
that. You could do that. So, it's about introducing you to these tools, what they can do, how they integrate together. And, Go High Level has a lot of automation that in the past, a lot of people will have been manually, or say manually, or maybe point and click, drag and drop, using tools like N8N, like Zapier, like Make. But a lot of that doesn't necessarily need to happen because it's all integrated all to make natively within Go High Level for creating bookings on your calendar, for sending emails out, for tagging customers, for sending an SMS out, whatever it might be. If it's customer relationship driven or marketing driven, a lot of that will be already integrated within Go High Level. So you don't need to separately build all of that. But if it's something
And
else, great.
you also don't need to separately pay for all those tools.
Yeah, well,
That's the other thing you're
yeah, but if
achieving.
if you want to integrate to something very different, let's say you do want to have a Google sheet of data, or you have a Google sheet of data. Every time you pop something into that Google sheet and you want it to then populate into Go High Level as a contact, as whatever, then you start using the webhooks and you start getting the two talking. So the idea of today was really just to kind of make you aware, for those of you that are not already aware, then that's how you would do it. And the only way, as I said before, to learn how to do this is really by doing it. Yeah, the best way to do it. And they all have free accounts. So, they are limited. Yeah, fail forward, like it. Exactly, Kenneth. Exactly. So, um, yeah, go and play. And I want to see, what you get
Even
up
more
to.
amazing stuff.
Yeah, I know. I'm very, very impressed with what everybody's doing. And, wherever you are in the process. Um, so what is the plan for tomorrow? So the plan is basically, um, let's seeing where you all are. Let's actually work through any issues or questions that you might have. And also talk more about the designing and the planning, the prompting, making sure that that communication is as smooth as it can be. Because when you're working with AI, if your prompt and your setup is not as efficient as it could be, you're utilizing a lot more tokens, and that's costing you a lot more. Okay, so um, it's about understanding all of that and really getting that design element um, worked through before you hit the like submit button on the AI builder, on the app builder, because at that point you're starting to really soak up a load of tokens. So if you can get everything, instead of iterating multiple times, which is using loads of tokens, if you get the instruction really, really well crafted right at the beginning, hopefully that's going to reduce the amount of times that you're going to have to iterate. You're going to have to go back for all of this additional information. So tomorrow is about, dealing with the Q&A, because we're layering a lot here, and everybody's going to find different issues. Excuse me. And be in slightly different places, and that's absolutely fine. This is all about introducing you to vibe coding so that you can go away and play some more. Um, is that okay? Yeah. How are you finding it so far? I know we're on day 3, midway. Um, are you finding this helpful? Yeah? Love the acceleration. We're moving at a pace. The idea is really to yeah, introduce you to it and get you to start using it, because once you started to use it, then things will start to come into place. But it's those connections and the steps that are needed to take for those connections that could cause a problem with those of you that don't know. Um, we'll see how the homework goes, Eva. Yes, just play. If you want to um take it step by step. If you want to go into ChatGPT or any of the LLMs and actually say, right, I just want to, I'm learning here. Give me some ideas of what I can build that might just, in Lovable, that might just use um, a database, for example, for a particular, think about a particular niche. Maybe it's for pet owners, maybe it's for um, parents, and give them an idea of a group of people that you'd like to maybe build a simple tool for, and they'll come up with a whole host of ideas, and you can then say, okay, I'm going to play with that. Okay, don't and if you don't feel ready to move into this space with webhooks and the integration into other platforms and databases, keep playing with the AI Studio. Find your ground. This is really your opportunity to play in a kind of a safe space where we can help each other. Marie, you're not techie. That's absolutely fine. It's it looked more technical than it really is. I would say you need to just really get started with it. But if you don't feel confident doing that just yet, stick with AI Studio and keep building some of those apps. Really get into the iteration of getting it to build what you really, really want. Um, yeah, yeah.
So I know we said that that these accounts are short-term limited accounts. How long will they have access to AI Studio for?
Sorry, I didn't catch that, Matt.
Do we still have access to AI Studio for a little while after Monday? Is the question.
Ah, right. Okay. Um, Yes, we'll
I
keep you,
think
we
so.
give you access for a bit longer. But these are temporary accounts, okay? So they're not going to last for too long. We haven't decided quite what we're going to do, how we're going to move forward with those. It may be that we could
The
transfer it out.
this
It
right.
may
The
be
summer of AI ends August 31st anyway. So it's not eternal, is
no,
all I'm saying.
no,
That's the longest we could offer it for.
yeah. But Maya and I need to decide on this because you can get your own Go High Level account. No problem. You can certainly use the links in the membership group. There are some links. Has it gone? You can't see on my screen at the moment, can you? In the membership
No.
groups, on the right-hand side of the screen on the desktop, you'll under where it's that little image of the 5-day challenge with a bit of blurb on it. Under the in that first section, you'll see links. So there's a link to 30-day trial for Go High Level if you wanted to get your own account. There's a link to make, these are our links to referral links for make.com and Lovable. I think if you use those links, you you get some extra credits or something like that, and so do we. But um, I've I've just put them in there so that you can see where the tools are. Um,
And Eva's asking if we can export the current work from this temporary account to her own account on high level or to Lovable.
Yes, we should be able to do that. I mean, we have to decide what we could do is turn your temporary account into um a
A
full
permanent
account
sub account. Yeah.
um in a sub account. And instead of you paying Go High Level, you pay us less than you would pay Go High Level for that one account. Or we could try and export it into Go High Level for you. It should be easily transferable. So what you've created should be transferable into the your own account.
I'm not so sure it's seamless to transfer into something like Lovable though, because the two apps are not the same. They're completely different beasts, right? Lovable is a builder. Go High Level has a builder as part of its CRM.
Yeah, yeah. So some of it will be transferable, some of it may not be. It depends what you've built, and
Yeah.
we need to go from there. But the intention is really, this challenge is about giving you the opportunity to start, get started really, introduce it, get started, start playing around with it, and take it in your stride. If you really don't feel comfortable with the webhooks, that's absolutely fine. Don't go there yet. Get familiar with vibe coding without it. And then when you want to create something that's a bit more complex, then okay, you can start taking those steps forward. Um, so
Kenneth says his wife took one look at the workflow engine and said, nope. He's also reminding us that you have to do the export manually, page by page. Yes and no, not 100%, because this is why we said, you can connect Claude to it, you can connect Codex to it, and have them export for you one at a time. Why would you do it manually when the AI can do the same
what we're
thing?
talking about, the exporting what? Go high level
The
account.
content from one account to another.
All right,
Um,
okay. I think there's a way in which we haven't done it yet, but I'm sure there's a
there's an
way in which
automated way for
within
the
Go High
admin to
Level.
do it. Yeah,
Within Go High Level, I think you can package up your sub account and then transfer it into another
yeah,
account. So we
yeah.
should be able to do that. It should capture most information, but some might not. We'll need to look into that in more detail.
And Eva's
Um,
right. Those workflows are everywhere, even on Shopify and Klaviyo. Yeah, it's for one thing, it's the hot buzzword. So everybody wants to say, I'm using AI, I've got AI in my tool. But the other point is also it makes everything so much easier and faster for the end user and for the business. So yes, everybody is putting in AI where they can.
yeah, that's why it's a fundamental skill going forward. So, this is you're a little ahead of the curve because whilst everyone's talking about it, not many people actually know how to do it.
Yeah. Marie says I have to run. Thank
Yeah.
you for staying with us this long, Marie.
Yes, appreciate that. And hopefully you guys will be back tomorrow and I want to see what you've been busy doing. Because I'm
Building.
really
Yeah.
impressed with where you're going with all of this. And I know this is um a big leap forward for a lot of people. So I think Chris, you said earlier it's easy and yet it's difficult at the same time. There's a lot to learn, but actually once you get your head around it, actually, you'll be surprised what you can achieve.
Yeah.
Okay, we're off to build stuff. Um, my prompt for what I created, I'll copy it and I'll put it in there for you. Um, I'll have a project, but it'll be offline because I'll be using NaN. That's fine. That's fine. It still does the same job. It's the same thing. That's fine. Excellent. We look forward to seeing it. I
Recording
yes,
will
I
be
will
uploaded.
be. I have recorded this. I have,
You have.
and so I will upload that to YouTube, and then I'll put the link in the group just like yesterday and the day before. Okay.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much for coming, and we will see you hopefully tomorrow. Enjoy playing around. And if you've got any questions in
Guys.
the meantime, do pop it in the chat in the membership group.
Bye.
Bye.